Have you ever been in a losing season? Have you had a losing season? One thing the Bible promises, that God's Word promises, is that if you follow Him, life's going to get rough. Life's going to get hard. And a lot of people, they gloss over that part until you hit your losing season. For a long time, years, I prayed to feel close to the Lord, to feel His presence, to be able to spend time with Him and know that I wasn't just talking to nothingness, to just air. For years, I craved a close relationship, but I couldn't quite figure out how to make it happen. I couldn't stay consistent with reading the Bible. I could not be consistent with prayer. And church bored me. And I wanted to go to Bible studies, but life kept getting in the way. And I didn't know how to make that work. And it was frustrating. And so I became one of those Christians that just went through the motions all the time. Even though I'm married to a pastor for many of these years, I just went through the motions. Just almost accepting I would never feel close to Him. And then we had our losing season. I quit trying as hard. And my husband lost his mother and went into denial with his grief. And he went into denial about a lot of things. And at a church he was appointed at, he made some very big mistakes that the consequences of that got really ugly. They turned our life upside down. And things got really, really messy, like legal messy. And I felt like no matter what happened, no matter how he reached out to make things right, to try and reconcile, doing everything he could think of to cooperate and give them everything they could want to make peace, so that they could find peace, so that they could find healing. Just nothing went right. Nothing. Because the truth was, it wasn't just us who was lost. But in some ways, that church had been lost too. And so, what happens when a lost shepherd tries to lead a lost church who has forgotten their identity? It's real simple. Everyone loses. Bomb goes off and everybody gets hurt. We got hurt. They got hurt. Supervisors got hurt. There was a lot of hurt going on. And through it, we lost so much. I lost health. My husband lost health. I ended up in the hospital and could have died. We lost community. We found ourselves in a position where we could not go to church for like a year. There was just nowhere to go for us. We find ourselves leaving every weekend because we couldn't stand to be in that place anymore. It was just such a heavy atmosphere and nowhere felt safe. The feeling of safety was taken. So much so that we drove to the next town over to run all our errands. And the few times we ran errands in town, just that level of is something bad going to happen to us was so high that I would seize later in the day. I have a seizure disorder. And when it all started, I started having non-epileptic seizures, stress seizures. It got to the point where I couldn't post my poetry online without being criticized and mocked. Got to a point where our children were being harassed in school. We lost friends that we loved and ate and broke bread with and prayed with, worshipped with. Our kids lost friends. We lost any sense of feeling of home. In essence, while we had places to stay, I would tell you that we did not have home. We lost that. We even lost the ability to take a hot shower. Our hot water tank, broke at like the worst possible time. And we didn't have the money to fix it because of everything we were going through. And so, for months, showering consisted of filling a really big pot with water, making it hot on the stove, taking it into the bathroom, and using that to sponge bathe. So at least we didn't have to bathe with freezing cold water. Eventually, God delivered us from that place. And our plan was to take our stuff out a little at a time until we knew where we were going, where home was going to be. But in the process of that, our basement, where a lot of sentimental items were stored, flooded. Baby clothes and toys, baby toys that I had planned to save and pass on to grandchildren, gone. Books, years of collecting of books, gone. Things that had been passed down to me from people who had passed, gone. So much just gone. And in the midst of moving, all my jewelry, poof, disappeared. We don't know what happened to it. And then, we had a ray of hope. And a church took our family in, wanted to give us a second chance, completely upfront about everything, laid everything out on the table and everything we're facing, the guilt that we all carried, our faults and everything, just completely open. Told them absolutely everything, laid our souls bare. Told them exactly how bad it could get. But when reality hit and things really did get that bad, that door was closed and we found ourselves without a home. Again, stuck in this perpetual waiting, struggling to make ends meet. And things have started to get better. And a lot of people would be able to look at this hard, trying couple years my family and I have been through and said, wow, I bet you don't believe anymore. Look at all the hell you've been through. God wouldn't put people he loved through that. And I have to say, couldn't be more wrong. Because as much as we lost, every time we lost something, we got closer to God. I now know God in a way that I couldn't even have dreamt of before. I can't even fully put it into words. I'm not praying into nothingness anymore. I can feel his presence and his nudgings, what he's trying to tell me. And there is no doubt in my mind he's been with us through it all, strengthening us. And God never said he'd give you a trouble-free life. He promises you trouble. And he doesn't promise to save you from the consequences of your own sins and stupidity. But he does promise that you don't have to go through it alone. And he didn't leave us alone. We asked for his help, we reached out to him, and he walked with us through the storm. And he worked a lot of miraculous things in that difficult time. Things that we did not think could happen. Our marriage became strengthened. A faith that I didn't know children were capable of began to bloom in my older two children. And what's more, my husband and I have found a purpose that God has given us that we never would have found if we hadn't gone through that storm. And looking back, I see how we were both trying but missing. We weren't quite getting it. We were lost. And I think we were lost for a while, just going through the motions. And that storm and our own stupidity was used as a tremendous blessing to wake us up and get us back on the path. So I'm here to tell you that if you're facing a storm, whether you brought it on yourself through your own sin and stupidity, or just life just really sucks right now and it feels like it's picking on you for no good reason, you don't have to go through it alone. It doesn't mean God hates you or anything like that. It doesn't mean he's abandoned you. It's just the opposite. He wants to be with you. He wants to walk by your side. He wants to give you some peace in the storm you're in, if you would just reach out your hand and ask him for help. No, he's not going to be a magic genie, blink and make everything better. But he will walk through it with you and give you peace. And if you let him, amazing things will happen. Maybe things won't happen the way you want them to, but in the end, it can bring you closer to him and help you see him and know him like you never did before. And something amazingly wonderful can come out of all the bad you're going through. We're still coming out. We're still in the recovery season of our storm. And things have begun to change and turn around. But we made a mess of ourselves over time. And of course, it's going to take time to climb back out of the mess we made. And with God's help, we're doing that. And we're finally on the path that he has given us. And I have no doubt that you just trust in him and let him in. He'll show you your path, and he'll let you know who he is, that there's no reason to doubt him. It sucks to live in a fallen world where bad things happen, but that's where we live. And if you're in your storm, you have a choice. You can choose to try and do everything yourself, like you've always done, and truly walk through it alone, with all that pain and suffering. Or you can let him in. Let him help you carry that load and take your hand and guide you through it so that you can have moments of actual peace in your storm. The choice is yours. Friend, you are loved, and you will be in my prayers. God bless.